Hello, beloved. Here we go. We're going to continue. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the brook Kidron, where was a garden into which he entered and his disciples. And Judas also, which betrayed him, knew the place, for Jesus oft times resorted thither with his disciples. Judas then, having received a band of men is like a bunch of officers, or a bunch of men together, and officers from the chief priests. This part is where we're going to be focusing on right now. And the in him, okay, and him in them. And Judas, the son of perdition, he had named him before, betrayed Christ. And he knew the place and oftentimes resorted thither with his Judas then, having received a band of men, so a bunch of men and officers, like police officers, from the chief priests and Pharisees, cometh thither with lanterns and torches and weapons. Now we know Satan taught to make weapons. Jesus, therefore, knowing all things, what? Jesus knows all things. God is all-knowing. That should come upon him, went forth and said unto them, Whom seek ye? They answered him, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus saith unto them, I am he. And Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with them. As soon then as he had said unto them, I am he, they went backward and fell to the ground. That's his word. His word is powerful. Then asked he them again, Whom seek ye? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus answered, I have told you that I am he. If therefore ye seek me, let these go their way. He's talking about his apostles, that the same might be fulfilled which he spake. Of them which thou gavest me have I lost none. Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant, and cut off his right ear. So a servant of a high priest, servant. So this is servant. So those band of men and the officers were servants of the high priest. The servant's name was Malchus. Then said Jesus unto Peter, Put up thy sword into the sheath. The cup, this is the cup we talked about in one video about the blood. In this cup is the testament, the blood of Christ, his testimony, his witness, his life, which my Father hath given me to be sacrificed, a spotless, blemishless Lamb of God. Shall I not drink it? Then the band and the captain and officers of the Jews took Jesus and bound him. What does Satan do? He binds. He bound Jesus. But what does God do after he completes his work? He told Peter, whatever you bind in earth will be bound in heaven. He gives Peter the authority to forgive and remit sins, or to, retain them on the person, So these Jews are claiming he is in sin and binding him, and led him away to Annas first, for he was father-in-law to Caiaphas, which was the high priest. These high priests still are here today. That same year. Now remember, they bound Jesus with the band, the captain of the officers of the Jews servants, and led him away to Annas first, for he was father-in-law to Caiaphas, which was the high priest that same year. Now Caiaphas was he which gave counsel to the Jews. So who's giving counsel to the Jews? This high priest, one man. So our high priest is Jesus, the Lord in heaven, the same Lord that was is on David's throne, the judge of all things, righteous judge and lawgiver of a righteous law of the spirit and life. It was expedient that one man should die for the people. He gave counsel to the Jews that one man should die for the people. So one man gave counsel to the Jews that one man should die for the people. That's Jesus, the Son of Man. So they, in their own book, is saying that Jesus is the Son of Man. Right here. And Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did another disciple. That disciple was known unto the high priest, and went in with Jesus into the palace of the high priest. So there's a palace of this high priest. But Peter stood at the door without. Then went out that other disciple, which was known unto the high priest, and spake unto her that kept the door, and brought in Peter. Then saith the damsel that kept the door unto Peter, Art not thou also one of this man's disciples? He saith, I am not. And the servants and officers stood there, who had made a fire of coals, for it was cold. It's cold because men's hearts were waxed cold. So he was kindling a fire. And this is outside the door. Right here is the door. Outside the door, men's hearts grew cold, so they kindled a fire on their own. And they warmed themselves, and Peter stood with them and warmed himself. The high priest then asked Jesus of his disciples and of his doctrine. Jesus answered him, I spake openly to the world. I never taught, or I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple, whither the Jews always resort, and in secret have I said nothing. Why askest thou me? Ask them which heard me what I have said unto them. Behold, they know what I said. And when he had thus spoken, one of the officers which stood by struck Jesus with the palm of his hand, saying, Answerest thou the high priest so? Jesus answered him, So the servant of the high priest, which was a Roman, if I have spoken evil, here bear witness of the evil. But if why smitest thou me? So they're bearing false witness. We've heard this before. They're bearing false witness, which is against the Jews' law of Moses. You're not supposed to bear false witness. So they broke the law of God. Now Annas, an innocent man, had sent him bound unto Cephas the high priest. And Simon Peter stood and warmed himself. They said therefore unto him, so when you get bound by Satan, it's usually because you have sinned. But Jesus had no sin, and they're binding him. So they're breaking the law, and they're binding someone with no sin. They said therefore unto him, Art not thou also one of his disciples? He denied it and said, I am not. One of the servants. Okay, so focus on one of the servants of the high priest, being his kinsmen, servants of the high priest. This servant of the high priest, it said earlier, there is servants, whose ear Peter cut off, saith, Did not I see thee in the garden with him? Peter then denied again, and immediately the cock crew. Then led they Jesus from Caiaphas unto the hall of judgment. This hall of judgment is a Roman hall, or where Pilate, a Roman guard, had a hall of judgment. Now they have a king in there, but it's not the king of Israel. It's not Jesus. It's someone posing as Jesus. This hall of judgment is still here on earth, brothers and sisters. The prince that Jesus talked about, the prince of this world is judged. He is in a hall of judgment, defiling himself, judging others unrighteously, and condemning people to death. And who does he serve? We're going to see. And we just saw. And it was early, and they themselves went not into the judgment hall. So these priests, these Jewish priests, would not go into the judgment hall where there is someone judging, lest they should be defiled, but that they might eat the Passover. Pilate then went out unto them and said, What accusation bring ye against this man? The accuser of the brethren is the Jew who was, Jesus said, even my family, my brothers handed me over to be crucified, right? My own family. They accuse, the accuser of the brethren. They accuse them and people, and then they bring him to the judgment hall where they judge, and then they say, okay, we're putting him to death. They bind him with sin, and then they judge him to death, which is against the law of God. So they're lawbreakers. They're lawless. So not only are these Jews breaking the law, the one in the judgment hall, the man of sin, the one man, so the one man that is the high priest, bore false witness against an innocent man and had him bound by Satan. And one is judging the prince of this world, who the Jews put over themselves. We're going to see this. What accusation bring ye against this man? They answered and said unto him, If he were not a malefactor. What's a malefactor? Look at it. We would not have delivered him up unto thee, bearing false witness. Then said Pilate unto them, Take ye him and judge him according to your law. The Jews therefore said unto him, It is not lawful for us to put any man to death. So they have servants do it, the Romans, that the saying of Jesus might be fulfilled, which he spake, signifying what death he should die. Then Pilate entered into the judgment hall again, and called Jesus, and said unto him, Art thou the King of the Jews? Jesus answered him, Sayest thou this thing of thyself, or did others tell it thee of me? Pilate answered, Am I a Jew? He's saying, Am I a Jew? Thine own nation and the chief priests have delivered thee unto me. What hast thou done? Jesus answered, My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? Jesus answered, Thou sayest that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice. Pilate saith unto him, What is truth? Because we know that the Greeks and the Romans, they seek wisdom and knowledge and philosophy. And when he had said this, he went out again unto the Jews, and saith unto them, because remember, he's in the judgment hall judging Jesus, and the Jews can't go in there or they'll defile themselves. So that's how they're trying to defile God's bride, and they can't, because God's bride is acquitted, and curses anyone that curses Israel, and they are Israel. Went out again unto the Jews, and saith unto them, I find in him no fault at all. But ye have a custom that I should release unto you one at the Passover. Will ye therefore that I release unto you the King of the Jews? Then cried they all again, saying, Not this man, but Barabbas. Now Barabbas was a robber. We're going to see something really important in the next video. Agape love. Wait for the next one.